Well, by the sound of the tone, you of course know that it's Mumamo.
Here to talk about all of your fighting needs.
Well, you know, friends, we come to you every stinking Monday. And we come talking to you about Mutants and Masterminds. Now, if you're familiar, you know that it is the only superhero TTRPG ever made, which is real weird, but we'll take it.
Right?
Fun
And what was that?
It's a fun coincidence.
It is. It's so wild. It's super weird. Hey, look at this. Devious Hearts is joyous. Mumamo, Troy. Well, unto you as well. Of course, that's me. I'm Disembodied Troy, and every Monday I get the pleasure of hanging out with these two fine gentlemen.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Good to see you guys. Now, Steve, welcome back. You
Thank
were, what were you, flying around the sun, or you made an eclipse or something?
Yeah, the moon was in the way. It had to be moved.
Yes, yeah. Well,
a few
it's
minutes.
serious business. Let's see, that's a Wrap Studios. Hey, Abbott. I don't know what that means, or Abbott, or maybe I'm swearing and I don't know. Gene says, I always wanted to know more villains. I've always wanted to know more villains for the Golden Age Liberty League. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's what we want. Mastermind Pooh says, let us commence with the pugilistic fisticuffs.
Yes.
I do like that. I wonder, what are fisticuffs if they're not pugilistic? Just
Right.
an apparel, like a little accessory for your wrists, I think. Hey, look who's here. That's a Wrap Studios. RC, greetings to you, friend. Good to see you. You folks have been really camping out early, and we like it.
Troy, I suddenly have the desire to have cufflinks that double as brass knuckles.
Hey, handy.
Right.
Why
Call them
not?
your fisticuffs.
We might not have been the first to invent it, but we can say we were.
That should be a street level superhero.
Call them Nux.
Right.
I like it. Pugilistic is when you only kick. I like that. Raymond says, darn it, video didn't start playing automatically when the stream started. Uh-oh.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, as in Abbott and Costello. That's a wrap. I got to tell you, I grew up loving those two. Now I saw them, of course, later in their, they were already past their stay here on this in this plane. That is to say, I wasn't alive when they were doing it live.
Thank you for clarifying that, Troy.
Hey, David Bodie says, ha ha ha, greetings, inventive friends. Greetings to you. Yes, Knucklelinks. I like that. Knucklelinks. It's got a good mouthfeel. Jerald Scrimshire. Hey, listen, today's program, Advanced Combat in M&M, comes to you courtesy of a planning episode that we do, once every 3 months or so. And we sit down with our nearest and dearest, very exclusive event, and we say, hey, what do you want to talk about? And we cobble it together, and we come out with something way better than we could have thought of on our own. And that is courtesy of RC and our other friend, whom is Jerald Scrimshire.
Awesome.
Yeah, the two of them.
Real life hero points for everyone.
That's right. They're coming in the mail. Do keep an eye out. We don't normally know what shape they'll take. And so if you see something on the side of the road, you're like, oh, what's this weird thing? There it is.
They will get you out of jury duty as long as you move from the state after you receive the letter and don't answer any of your mail.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Ignore it and it will go away, courtesy of the Hero Point. Friendly Neighborhood Chicken. Hello. Should be a fun talk. I've been playing some crazy M&M lately. Nice.
Here for
All right.
Yeah, I'm here for a Friendly Neighborhood Chicken telling us all about their superheroics. I'm down for that. Let's see. Did I miss anybody else in chat? Jonathan Jackson. Happy Mumamo. I saw you, friend. Sorry. I like to go back and to Abel's here. Hiya. Good to see you. Glad that you joined us. Squire. I see you too. Anybody else that I missed? I think I grabbed all the chatty folks. Hey, do me a favor, friends. We just like to do a little poll. Drop in the chat just where you're at. Even if you think I know, because I probably do, but I've forgotten. And then you'll jog my memory. But we just like to kind of know our reach, our geographic impact. So, gents, we have got a show, but we've also got some other news and things.
You do.
I would like to point your attention to the corner of the screen, which I believe maybe is your left or your right or it's the Mumamo logo in the upper up.
Right.
And you'll see it transitions to Mumamo. Look at that fancy bit of business, courtesy our friend Devious did that artwork for us. That's bouncing in and out over Alex's head, precariously over Alex's head. I use Twitch and live in South Carolina. Yes, SC Terra Marine, good to see you, friend. Fayetteville, okay. David, I didn't know you were in Fayetteville. Boston, okay.
Folks weighing in on where they are.
Yeah, London, UK. Simon, I see you. Netherlands. I've always wanted to go to the Netherlands. We'll be staying at your house, Abel. See.
I've always wanted to go a lot of places, but that's because I'm from Ohio, and that is the place that people are from, not a place people go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I see that. I feel
origins.
That. Leesville.
Separate origins.
LA is Louisiana, yeah?
Yes, that's Louisiana.
Yes.
Nice.
Or Louisiana if you're nasty.
Not Los Angeles, Troy.
Yeah, right. I was like, Leesville, Los Angeles, California. Also, would advanced combat be like using martial arts styles in M&M? You got Street Fighter in my superhero setting, that kind of thing, guys? Is that right?
We are, in fact, going to talk about that.
Nice, nice. How about we do this? Why don't we dive into this subject, and then we're gonna, like, midway through, about quarter or a half past the hour, we'll dive into what's in the tank.
All right.
We will.
Okay.
There's lots of stuff in the tank.
So much in the tank. I'm telling you, friends, it's full. Our tank overfloweth, and this time it's not a septic tank. So,
hey, good for us.
Nice. Okay, so. Explain to me, who is a neophyte around such things, what this is. What does this talk? So we said when you want to do fighting, but not use your hands or something.
So what we're talking about today is using Mutants Masterminds combat system to do things a little more sophisticated than I punch the bad guy and they roll a toughness check. These are combat maneuvers. These are afflictions that provide status effects or conditions to the characters that you're fighting against. Ways to work as a team, ways to affect other characters that don't involve just their toughness resistance. Lots of different ways to sort of up your game from a combat perspective.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, not that there's anything wrong with just punching people, but
no,
there are plenty of ways to do other things than that in the Mutants and Mastermind system. And if you know how to use it, you can get into a lot of really interesting just scenarios. You can make your combat faster, you can make it better, you can make it more dynamic and more narrative. And that's the goal at the end of the day.
Or our friendly neighborhood chicken says, like using Transform to invoke the natural disaster effects in the Game Master's Guide.
Potentially.
I like it. So adding some texture and some depth, some difference, some, a new take on an old spin, if you will.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, and making sure that you're able to use your hero points and extra effort in ways that are a little more advanced than I take another action or I get a reroll, so that you have that currency and you have those options to get into lots of fun stuff.
Right.
Nice.
Do you have anything to add, Steve, on the topic?
I think that pretty much covers the essentials. We can also hit upon some game master advice for managing combats. I know that can sometimes get challenging, especially if you have a lot to keep track of, as far as that goes. And we can talk about a few of the, sort of behind the scenes intentions behind how some of the systems are set up, as far as that goes. Some of the sort of, secret sauce of the system.
Definitely. And if you are a fan of our Atomic Think Tank, Devious Heart put a couple of really good articles up about defensive fighting and out of turn defense in Mutants and Masterminds that I thought was very insightful, not incisive.
It doesn't incite anything.
Sorry, right. I took my wrong medication before I started the show. So
we should probably let folks know that if Alex should drift off to sleep suddenly, don't be alarmed.
Don't be alarmed.
He just accidentally took your sleeping pill instead of your vitamin pill.
Yeah, instead of my wake up pill.
It's your wake up pill.
And then Devious Heart has another article about shooting your mouth off in combat, because there's nothing quite like Spider-Man taunting enemies or Batman just sort of being big and scary and intimidating while the villains are just running away. and not even having to throw a punch. So lots of fun stuff like that. If you want a more in-depth guide on a couple of things over on the Think Tank.
Yeah, the great articles I'm posting.
Yes.
I posted the links backwards, but you get it. There's the other one. I dig it. That's one of the things I really love about the Think Tank is just the fact that we're really able to sort of surface people who've got some in-depth knowledge and passion around Mutants Mastermind stuff and have done a lot of the they've evolved beyond just rules lawyering and really talking about how to, add some of these concepts to your game. So you definitely folks want to check that out.
Yes. Yeah. So Jonathan Jackson starts us off talking about knockback as an optional rule. We've done a little discussion about that on the Atomic Think Tank just recently, and ways to sort of apply and update that option. And Jonathan, you bring up a good point about sort of the unintended consequences of adding some of those options, and it's kind of one of the reasons why knockback is optional, is if you run into the issue where you have characters who don't have a lot of movement effects, and they get knocked a mile away. Even if they're super tough, they're out of that fight, basically, until they somehow manage to get back.
Just remember your speedster players would do it to you and don't feel bad about it.
Right.
They'd have no remorse if they did it to your NPC.
So it's something to consider when you're bringing those rules into your game, and maybe you want to adjust things so knockback doesn't have quite that much distance to it. And so there aren't any as many home runs with your NPCs.
Yeah. Or that forces them to use teamwork, and somebody's fast has to go get them and bring them back, or find something tough to knock them into that isn't far away, but maybe adds a little bit of extra damage when they hit the hard surface, so that they're still around, right, but there is that sort of fail forward option.
Simon mentions, I can imagine someone with impervious toughness using taunt to draw fire towards themselves and to distract the attacker so that their ally can flank the... That's brilliant.
That's a terrific maneuver. That's a great use of a character who's a tank.
Great strategy, yeah.
To do that.
Here's a question for you guys. When you've run games for folks, when does that level of strategy start to bubble up? Because you kind of have to know your cohorts, your co-heroes. I wonder, do you see that? I would imagine it's rare to see on a one shot where folks don't necessarily know each other, or is it not?
I think it depends. Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, I was going to say, like for a one-shot game, it depends on how experienced the players are and how good they are at just getting everybody on board with teamwork and with sort of clever maneuvers and all like that. It is something that's a little easier to introduce to a regular play group so that you can build up to it and provide everybody with examples and get everybody into it. But I've seen it happen at, one-shot games at conventions where players have been like really on the ball and come up with some great, clever ideas.
Nice, yeah.
I think it really boils down to how genre savvy they are and how willing you are to have them tell you what they want to do, and then you figure out sort of what that looks like in game terms.
Ooh, I like that. That. So a little help in hand, if you see what they're wanting to do and kind of see how you can make that happen and still not maybe break your intentions.
Yeah. Or have the villains do it first.
Yes. I was going to say, Alex brings up a couple of good points. One is not relying too heavily on system mastery for this option being available to everybody. I agree with Alex that oftentimes the best thing the game master can do is to just ask players, what do you want to do? And we will figure out how the game rules best model that. Rather than demanding, you have to tell me the exact, game rule, action, or maneuver you want to do in sequence, or you've done it wrong.
Yes, and John, to John's point as well, John echoes a common refrain from Mumamo, us here, and that is, you don't want your bad guys using tactics that'll frustrate the players, and overly exploitive, and you don't want to ruin the time for anybody.
To a point.
Yes.
I do agree with Alex's earlier point, though, that sometimes it is, if you want to encourage the players to use tactics and teamwork, have their opponents start doing it. And they will catch on pretty fast.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
They're
yeah.
like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. And then they're like, how do we do that? Or
Right. Or we got to change up our game here. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a concept I've learned recently from wargaming, but it's called playing to intention, and that is what we were just talking about. What do you want to do, and then figuring out the rules on the backside of what their intended effect is.
I see. I like what David Bodie's mentioning here as well, and that's that players get more inventive if the common sort of thing doesn't get the job done. Like they've got to, they got to get real creative.
This is
go ahead, sorry.
The chat is like way ahead of us already.
Absolutely.
One of the other things I wanted to mention is what I call lateral tactics, where you end up in a situation where just punching the bad guy isn't going to work because they're essentially invulnerable to your attacks. Their toughness is too high. They've got too much impervious. They've got immunity to some of your key things. And, you're going to have to get innovative when that happens. And that's another way to really encourage players to explore other options in combat, is to take away that obvious option.
Yeah, and that sort of turns combat into a puzzle instead of a straight up fight.
I was just going to ask you. That is so great.
And
I was going to ask you how much of a puzzle that is. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's making sure that there's more than one answer to the puzzle. So like making sure there is sort of like an obvious way of getting around it, like knowing when you build the villain that they have a low will to compensate for their bad or their supreme toughness or something like that. So you have a built-in idea of what works on them, or being willing to listen to player inventiveness when it comes to using the environment against the character. Or I had in Freedom League Dark a couple weeks ago, I had our power level 6 fantasy heroes go up against a power level 12 undead dragon monster, and they could not punch their way out of it because its toughness was 18 and they were power level 6.
John, I'm sorry, guys, just to interrupt real fast.
Yeah, of course.
John, link away, my friend.
Yeah, please do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We love that. As a matter of fact, we're going to be talking about a Kickstarter here in a bit.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a few third-party products ourselves. So
yeah, so do not fret. John, if you can't drop a link, let me know. I'll sneak into the channel. And I thought I'd set it up so that folks could, but let me know if you're in trouble. But no, please do share.
To follow up on Alex's earlier point, a common sort of story beat in superhero stories is for that super tough, unbeatable villain to basically have an initial encounter where they just wipe the floor with the heroes. And then there is an integral scene where the heroes get a chance to investigate. They get a chance to try and figure out what this bad guy's weakness is. Find that vulnerability in their defenses, and then they get to follow it up with the combat encounter where they get to use that to their advantage and hopefully take the villain down.
Right, that's like every episode of The Flash from season 1 to 5.
Right,
Barry gets beat up, and then they find a solution for him not to get beat up next time.
My thanks to RC for dropping the link to the Freedom League Dark, and that's the M&M series from Alex's Untold Stories project that runs bi-weekly? Weekly?
It's supposed to be weekly.
Okay,
We've had
enough.
a couple of scheduling issues in the last couple of weeks.
No, not at a TTRPG. Yeah,
yeah, that is the grim specter of role-playing games everywhere.
It is.
That's the one combat we can't fight is adult schedules.
Yeah,
I was going to say adult scheduling, our greatest enemy.
Hey, Rebel Moose, happy Moo Memo unto thee.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that you want to key your players in that's a little different from other role-playing games is that failure does not mean finality in Mutants Masterminds. Failure is not the end.
Constant refrain in M&M.
Yeah, it's just up to you to make sure that failing feels like they're failing forward and they learn something when they fail.
When
That's
one
not the
door
end of the
fails, another window, you're thrown through.
Right, you get straight through a new window. Yeah.
Right. I was gonna say something and then I absolutely forgot it because I am so witty. That's a
Well, now the chat has broken Troy.
Jeez, I had a big bowl of soup, so I'm all comfortable and cozy. I'm all warmed up, but that yes, Jonathan Jackson says scheduling the bane of every GM's existence. That's Rep says I read that as seducing. You know,
That can be the bane of many a GM. if you're not-
column A,
Your
column-
mileage may vary. It's up to you.
right?
Right.
Oh, I cried a little bit when I laughed that hard. Yeah. Okay. So, what are some? How creative should people get with this stuff? Like, if people are just wrapping their mind around advanced combat, because there are people that listen to this that are brand new, and you know, how would you send them into this sort of advanced combat
I
notion?
mean, as a game master, I say get as creative as you want,
Mm.
you know, and following that ethos of, as game master, I'm here to help you play the game. So you tell me your plan, and I will say, okay, in game terms, that sounds like this.
Mm.
And for me, it'll usually be like, okay, given that plan, this is the way I see it. This is what it's going to require. Is that still what you want to do? Now that you know the details, and sometimes it'll be yes, and sometimes it'll be like, yeah, we'll come up with something better than that. So it varies.
Makes sense. To answer the question in chat, the kind of soup that I had was butternut squash.
Mm.
Yeah, it was very, very good. A great pumpkin soup, sort of. Yeah,
Well, ghost pumpkin soup, like
kind of, a little bit. Love it. Okay, so pardon my soup interruptions here. Friendly Neighbor Chicken says, emergent gameplay is cool, so ideally learn how attacking, damage, and the 3 resources, luck, extra effort, and hero points work. I let people roam free under the pretense that I play under the same rules. Yeah,
That is
absolutely.
an important pretense to maintain while understanding that you do not have to play by those rules.
That's right.
Right.
I love that when people say, well, what do I, and you're like, you know what you do? You give them the shortcuts as a GM. I love it. It's great.
Mhm.
Let's see. Sean Dugan, good to see you, asks the chicken if their question got from the SE. From the SE? The super... I don't want to go down this path. Yeah, so if you got a
You got a
chicken,
question?
if you
Fire
yeah,
away.
if you've got a question, do drop in, and we will be happy to answer it or lie. Good. I'm glad you're having a good time. Okay, so we are almost to the halfway point, and I am I'm particularly excited about the Kickstarter thing. What do you guys want to do? Tell me.
Yeah, let's talk that.
No, let's talk about it real quick.
Alrighty, let's do that. This is a link to Mike Lafferty's. Lafferty is a new project's coming up on Kickstarter, and it's Small Sidekicks, and it looks great. I'm dropping a link so folks may see it, and when you do check it out, click that button. Be get notified. We are all veterans of the Kickstarter wars, and boy, it really helps.
My
when
valiant
folks-
Kickstarter was my Vietnam. I'll just be straight.
Yeah, it took something out of us, didn't it? We saw
You're never
some
the
stuff,
same
man.
after.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I have been the same since that Kickstarter ended.
Yeah, and so run over there and check that out, and then make sure you're signed up so you get notified. I mean, so you get some emails and updates, and you're helping a fellow person looking to bring some great content to the Mutants Masterminds world. And I'm going to share the screen real quick just so everyone can see it. I mean, it's really not that exciting. It's just a, landing page. There we go. John's dropped his Teamwork Tactics Superpowered by Eminem bundle. That's awesome. Yeah, check that out in chat. Hey, friends, speaking of that, we are so excited about what is shaping up around the think tank. And the Atomic Think Tank has got just so much great stuff. And it's for me, one of the most rewarding parts of my career is seeing things develop like they should, in a healthy kind of camaraderie and sharing and creativity. And that is just, I'm telling you, that is like the absolute It's just a joy, and
Troy, you're such a proud community parent.
I am my babies.
It's taking its first step.
It is.
Words.
It's not just jumping into a crowd and swinging fists and people getting upset, and it's and there's always going to be friction, and that's unavoidable.
Sure.
But it is just I've worked with a lot of communities in my time, and the Mutants and Masterminds community, Green Ronin in general, the folks who are just those people who are kind of always around are great people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's good to have those great people, because sometimes people that are always around are not real friendly or fun. But
we have a great community in that.
We really do. And so smart. Everything from the great articles, the conversations. And one of the things that I love about it is people ask tough questions and there's so many great answers. And, or if they say, oh, never mind, I don't want to, I don't want to impose. They're like, no. Tell us, tell us what your question is. And so I really dig that. It's just been a real joy to watch. And it's only just begun. Let me share the screen for our What's in the Tank segment. I want to just show you a little bit of the articles. 1 second. And boop. Nope, that ain't the one. Sorry. I've got, also as the community manager guy, I also have 50,000 links to the same. So I've got a lot going on. Hold on 1 second.
No worries.
And there we go. There it is. And there it is. Come on, you come. There you are. Awesome. So this article is an example of the kind of things that you can contribute as a person who's interested in the things that we're doing. I can actually make this a little bit better, but nope, that's not better. That's worse. We'll just go with this. But I mean, great article, thought-provoking. And when I say, let me take you over to the, let's see, we're going to go over here to the Commons. You can see there's a little live button because we're live. We're all wired in. You've got the chat is just, I mean, it's so great. It's fun. We get a, and it's one of those things too, that it kind of, it's always going. Right. And so, there's something going on the weekends and the evenings. It really, it doesn't, it's not limited by time zone. It's not like you're missing something. You get to dive in and kind of pick up where you left off, which I love. And talk about the articles. The Freedom City Library is just absolutely jam-packed with stuff. Look, there's some stuff from Steve.
Yeah. Yep.
Steve's pushed in there. We've got lots of great articles on, anything and questions, polls, that kind of thing. And it's really one of the most, what's that? Go ahead.
I was going to say we have Lawrence Craig there, who's creating a Canadian superhero city for
yes.
Campaign, which I think
I met him on I met him on Twitter and said, hey, why don't you bring your Canadian superheroes over and hang out with us and see what happens. Very fun. A couple other folks out there working in this world that in the hero space that are going to join us as well. Maybe that's you. I dropped the link in chat. The other thing I was going to share is the Aegis files. I say Aegis. Aegis seems right, but tomato, whatever floats your boat.
Too, but whatever.
I say Aegis, but I'm a Philistine.
Right. And look at Garrett. He looks so familiar. All of these, the reaction to the, I hate this. The profile photograph is just, it's a cactus is what it is. It's not what you think it is. But lots of reaction to our discussions around pulp. Lots of heroes were posted, and the Aegis files. Imagine that you've hacked the mainframe of the what is it again? I've got a shirt with it on them. Oh, I've read it 1,000 times. I always
American
forget.
Elite Government Intervention Service.
There we go. Yeah, great stuff. Pay no mind to the art. They're, they are submissions from the community, and so we're a little relaxed. Nothing, of course, like this guy's dome. Nothing is offensive, but you'll run across something that clearly wasn't art that they had done or is borrowed from somewhere. But that's okay. It's community stuff. We're good. But yeah, so I'm telling you, it's all popping off in here. And this Thursday, we got an event coming up.
We do indeed.
And that event is right here. It is the launch party for Engine. That is the new magazine about the adventure game engine. We won't go into too much detail because we have a whole show devoted to it on Thursday.
Right. I was going to say, we have a whole show for that.
On
There's a lot of really
Thursday, we
good
do
Steve
Thursday.
writing in Engine.
I was just going to say.
I have an article in the first issue of Engine. Yes.
Very nice.
We're looking forward to that.
Oh, that's great. We should conscript you for the panel then.
Good luck, Steve. Have fun.
Sorry.
Right.
Sorry for your luck.
I am not a
You
bus
never.
driver in this life, but I may have been in a past one.
I love it.
Paying for it now.
But we're going to have a keynote from Chris. We're going to have the panels, which Steve's going to be on. We're going to talk about all kinds of age-related things. But here's the deal. If you RSVP for this event, you're going to get the first magazine issue free. We'll just hand it to you
It's exciting.
as a gift. Yeah, super fun. Looking forward to that. So check it out and get your RSVP in and tell your friends as well. I'm going to be sending it out to all the right people, and we'll do an emailing and all that kind of good stuff. But there's nothing better than word of mouth and your pal saying, "Hey, come join me at the think tank because they're doing a launch party and it's going to be rad." It will be fun. I guarantee. Or your money back.
But Troy, you're not asking them to
Bartholomew.
pay any money.
I know, right? Exactly. In abundance. I'll give it to you threefold. But yeah, so thank you for that little break. Also, hey, while you're hanging out here, friends, do me a favor, wherever you're at, give us a like, give us a follow, leave a comment. If they're thumbs, give them all to us. If they're stars, we want them too. Whatever it is. And then just make sure that you're subscribing and that you're tickling the bells and doing all the things so that the algorithm knows you love us.
Disembodied beings like Troy are like Tinkerbell.
Yes.
They survive entirely on engagement.
We survive entirely on parasocial relationships.
That's right. If you don't clap, Troy is not going to be well.
Yes, so that's Rep says YouTube removed the like button. Well, like button, not really. They removed the dislike button. The like button's still there.
No, you're not allowed to dislike anything on YouTube.
Yeah. It's still there. It just doesn't. They just cut the wires to it. RC says, "I'm tickling bells and giving thumbs now. I must know the answer for Friendly Neighborhood Chicken's question."
Okay. So
What chicken? Did you post it?
yes.
Okay,
So
good.
the question is, if I understand correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, if a character's summon effect is debilitated in some way, if it loses its rank due to weaken or something else affects their summon effect after they have summoned things, do the summoned things feel the impact of that? My personal opinion is no, they don't. If the summoner were to try and summon other things, that would be a potential problem because their summon ability is now weakened and they can only summon weaker things, which may either create a weird, weaker summoned version of things or just stop the ability from working altogether, depending on what it is. As far as that goes, a lot of this is going to depend on the descriptors and what this power is and how it has been weakened and all of that. But in general, I'd say that, and this is the same for things like create and the like. If you lower a power rank after the fact, the thing that it created or summoned or the like isn't generally affected by that.
Yeah, I think a good bar for that is if the create or the summon has like the innate/permanent extra in flaw. I definitely don't think it would be affected. But
Definitely
if you feel like there is something connecting whatever is being created to the life force or the willpower of the person who's affected, like perhaps if it was a Green Lantern construct, I could see an argument for a weakened will making the effect less powerful. But it's like most things in M&M, it's GM discretion.
Indeed.
There was another question from That's a Wrap about how would you GM sliding an opponent across the counter. And the thing I would do with that is I would ask the player what their effect is for that. I would be, are you trying to move them to somewhere? Are you trying to make them more easy to hit for somebody else? Are you trying to do extra damage by sliding them down the counter? Are you trying to trip them essentially? And then working from a game mechanic backwards.
Yeah.
So asking what the intended effect is and then working out, like, is it a feint with a setup? Is it a improved trip? Is it a grab? Is it just a fun way to flavor power attack where the glass they're slamming into is additional damage?
Right. Yeah, I agree.
I dig it. Sorry, it was very interesting. We're having a little confluence of events. We're discussing in the ops discussion space about sort of stuff that's ready to sort of share with the world. And there's some talk about bundling up our Patreon heroes that we had put together for the second edition, or first and second, any just conversions that we had done. Were they all from second edition?
I don't think we converted any first edition characters.
Yeah.
I mean, we did
other than Crooks
conversion. Well, right, but I think we were working from the second edition version of Crooks anyway.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I don't think per se we were converting any first edition characters.
Claude, you're here. Parasocialized Cap. Yes. Yeah. So, Gene mentioned, will you guys update some second edition characters or adventures at Roll20? And I think we just might be doing that.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would be surprised if we didn't bundle up some of the conversions and put them over there.
Why wouldn't we? Why shouldn't we?
I know Steve and I have talked about looking at some of the second edition adventures to give them a look and a refresh.
Nice.
Yep.
Especially Little League. If you're a big fan of Little League, I am a big fan of Little League, and I think it would do with a fresh coat of paint.
Just the sport,
fun adventure,
the children's sport,
the children's superhero sport.
Oh,
yes. It's an adventure where Quirk turns the Freedom League into children. And
Quirk!
The superheroes, the player characters have to contain their ruckus.
I like it. Hey, I want to mention
babysitting.
I love it. Mark's Pile says, as a martial artist in real life, I love when games add more fighting options to combat. It's a delicate balance with adding options, but not so much that it drags combat pacing.
A great resource in that regard is the third-party MetaHuman martial arts source book for M&M that goes into a huge amount of detail about adding martial arts options to your game. You can add as much as your heart desires.
Yeah. You can also look in the Deluxe Game Master's Guide. We have a fighting style optional rules section in there that is just how to imitate certain martial arts styles through the use of advantages and skills.
Bundling the right advantages and skills together. Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm reading the chat. When chat gets too entertaining, Dugan, stop it.
Troy.
You just get me cracking up. Jonathan Jackson, we didn't cover the summoner. So Jonathan Jackson says, how do you keep a summoner from breaking the action economy for other players without making it feel like you're nerfing them?
My favorite way to do that is to not have them summon minions, but have their effects be area effects with selective, so that they still summon a bunch of stuff to beat things up, but you don't have to roll a bunch of attack rolls.
Yep.
Or a burst area snare or something like that.
Yep. Or encourage team attacks for minions. Break large groups of minions into smaller teams and have them make team attacks.
And Devious, to answer your question, which was, will you be offering Hero Lab files of these second edition conversion characters? Yes.
Yeah, we did Hero Lab files.
That's right.
Pretty much all of them, as far as I know. So.
I think, except for the ones we forgot, and they're dead.
Right, except for the ones where we didn't, but we pretty much did.
And they're almost done. So.
Let's see. Slam attack. Okay, let's see. I'm following your train of thought here.
Fastball special question.
Yes.
And that is just a team attack, as far as I'm concerned. That's how I would handle that. They would both hold an initiative to the same turn. One character would be the primary attacker. The other character would be the assistant. And the higher they roll, the more DC you'll get in addition to the primary attacker's damage.
Yep, I agree completely.
There you go, Abel. Hopefully that gives you what you need and we're hoping to get. Simon says, I went to my own conversion guide to Day of the Dread Destructus, including how to run it as a modern era adventure.
Awesome.
Is that one of ours? Day of the Dread Destructus?
It is a third party. Oh, actually, no, it is one of ours. I take that back. It's Silver Age adventure, if I remember correctly.
Oh, nice. That's great. You know, and I am curious just out of, do me a favor, friends, just as a blanket topic, if you've done conversions or you've taken something and you kind of repurposed it or borrowed something from one and blended things together, I want to hear about it. I love that stuff. I think it's really great. And it just is, for me, it's an opportunity just to see how creative people get with all of our tools and such. But go to the tank and drop in your your creative conversions. I'm really curious to see how that worked out.
That's a wrap. How would someone punching really, really hard work? There's a lot of ways you could do that. Power attack is sort of the baseline way of I trade attack to add damage. You can build an array with your attacks and I often do like a heavy blow, which is inaccurate for a couple ranks, but does additional ranks of damage. Or if you have like extra effort or extraordinary effort, you can add ranks to it and then throw in some improved critical if you want to do that. Right. Or an ultimate effort punch or something like that.
Or all of the above. If you really want to go over the top.
We call that pulling an Ethan in my neck of the woods, because I have a character who often tries to show off and does extraordinary effort and increases his ranks by 6 and knocks himself out trying to knock other people out. It usually doesn't work.
So question. We've talked about martial arts. We've talked about how to, throw someone real fast at someone else, and what rules sort of govern that whole mechanism. What are some, if you don't mind indulging, what are some off the beaten path kind of ways to introduce advanced combat? Anything, super creative or?
Well, in addition to what we've already talked about, which is, using, having the character's opponents do things as by way of example. Another good option is to do danger room scenarios. And have the characters run through have the players literally run through training scenarios, and especially if they have a mentor or somebody who is training them, it's a great GM voice to say, okay, we're going to work on your combat tactics, because they could use some work. And we've set up this scenario, to give you a chance to run through how that will work. And that's a great way to walk the players through that process. And then, of course, you have the danger room go haywire, or you have an actual threat show up that's remarkably similar to what they've learned. And this what they've learned will come in perfectly handy.
Do we call it the harrowing hallway? Well, like what's our take on the danger? Yeah,
the Doom room, I think.
The Doom room.
Yes. Yeah, we have the Doom room.
Okay, that works.
That's the Claremont Academy version.
Yeah. What's Max Mars's version in Emerald City? I'm trying to remember what the one in Mars Tower is.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head.
John mentions a couple things that I think are kind of fun, and in it, I see this happen sometimes in the games that I've watched, where people you're like, I thought this was going to be a slug fest, but it was actually they talked their way out of it, or they bribed somebody, or I love that kind of stuff. Taking a different tack is maybe a bridging a delta for maybe a power or a thing that you can't do that person. I love the alternative approaches.
There are a lot of options as far as that goes, and you can get really creative, especially when you have to.
Now, ever since that friendly neighborhood chicken moved into the restaurant, sorry, I'm hungry. All that soup, I want some chicken. No, I'm kidding. Moved into the neighborhood, there's been a lot of good questions, and so I want to make sure I capture this. Another question, can you use finishing attack critical hits to use any critical hit effect, like alternate effects power stunt, or is it meant to only ever give a +5, like increased effect?
I mean, from a design perspective, finishing attack is mainly intended to incapacitate or kill someone. So it's generally intended to be extra damage. because it's assuming that you're using the opportunity that your target is essentially helpless to really finish them off. If you come up with a particular alternate critical hit option that makes sense in that context, as a GM, I'd be like, make a case for it to me. Like if it sounds cool, sure, why not? But
I'm thinking
the design intention is damage.
Yeah, I'm thinking an example of something that could work is I attack the incapacitated power suit and I use one of his devices to do an alternate effect, or
sure
something like that could work. But I think most of the time it'll be extra damage.
Yeah, that was meant to be the idea.
Nice. Like about a hallway encounter against plants and animals with tons of ruins and pit traps.
Yeah, combat against the environment. There's a couple of fun ways to handle that. You can do that as additional effects that villains have access to when you're in their lairs, or you can handle it as a challenge sequence where it's just they use their powers and their skills to try to overcome it, and when they fail, they have to resist against damage or other affliction effects.
Right, indeed.
Nice. I'm checking on something right now because I do. Devious, do me a favor and check your think tank communicator.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Hitting the ground with an alt effect for contagious, so the quake hits everyone touching the ground.
FNC, I'd say that's a viable power stunt, but I wouldn't say that's an effective use of finishing attack. That was not how it was intended to be used.
Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe you pick the person up and throw them on the ground really hard and it makes a shockwave, but yeah, that still feels like it's not really a finishing attack.
That's a power stunt.
That's where Rap says, I just had an awesome idea for a campaign. You have 3 smaller parties with different goals that fight each other or have different goals.
You can definitely, if you're feeling ambitious and you want to do a 3 or 4-way fight.
I'm just saying, that's a wrap. You say these kinds of ideas, and then Alex gets ideas, and then next Gen Con, we've got 50 parties of tables of 20 people.
Right.
Look, it's only 35 players at Origins. It's fine.
Right.
It's totally fine.
It's all good.
There's 9 GMs. It's not even my problem.
Jonathan Jackson asks, how do you handle combat at large distances, like in space?
This is sort of also in the sort of the mecha category. We're just upping the scale of things. It is. Yeah. It's up to you if you want to handle it with realism and have characters require the use of massive movement powers to cover that distance, or you just up the scale. So a square, they can still move the same amount of squares as they would be able to with 5 feet, but the squares cover more distance.
Yeah.
Or dealing with like short range, engagement range, medium, and all that stuff.
Yeah. We talk a lot about that in Cosmic Handbook. Basically how that space is big and how to handle some of that. Yeah.
And interrogate, are you looking for something realistic, or are you trying to do a space opera thing where the distance and the range doesn't matter as much?
Doesn't really matter that much. Yeah, I mean, in the comics, generally speaking, space combat still happens at basically the similar ranges to what happens in aerial combat or combat in a city, as far as that goes.
Yeah, I'm picturing Captain Marvel using takedown on all those spaceship minions.
And
it's still the same amount of movement, basically.
It still works. Yep.
Sorry, I'm typing and talking and doing all the stuff. Stan, I'm with you. Realism, highly overrated.
Highly overrated. Yeah.
It could be what you're looking for, though. I mean, that could be what you and your players are into, in which case we have a game called The Expanse. You should play that.
Right. Agreed. Hey, listen, there was a contest, a pulp contest.
Yes.
To create to submit I believe that the winner gets their choice of a PDF from the library of games, and then of course they get a hero point, and we send them a new cape. They can put the old one in the museum, and they'll look fashionable, be able to do whatever they want, and then also just the accolades of all of the cheering fans. And the winner is Jacob Gross. who
Congratulations, Jacob.
Thomas Bedford is the character or the hero that he submitted, and we'll toot all that, all the hornage and all that good stuff. But congratulations to you, Jacob. You deserved it. Of course, it was all random. But Jens, what do you think about the next contest being something along the lines of conversions or mishmashes or mashups or something along those lines? What do you think?
I think that's
Could be
great
anything.
for Multiverse May.
I was gonna say, we
my
do have
gosh.
Multiverse May coming up, so
Well, let's hang on to that idea for Multiverse May. What do you think? No capes. What do you think? What should we frame this next sort of contest on?
Well, we're talking about big combatants right now. Maybe best fighter, or pick something in that vein, sort of a martial artist or a gladiator or a boxer or something.
Yes, pugilism.
I like
perfect,
it.
Perfect pugilists.
I love it. Well, you've heard it here first, friends. Make the perfect pugilist. And
Also, that's a Rap Studios. Edna Mode killed all those superheroes. Velcro has existed since World War II.
That's right. We know Edna's complicit, and we just
Capes are great. Velcro's better.
Right. It's so weird. So weird.
Kids.
Yeah, so we'll say the alternative combat situations and scenarios for the Multiverse May. She is an old-timey precursor to Jamie Madrox. So we'll flesh that out over on the tank, but get to thinking about your perfect pugilist. Holy smokes, we're almost done.
Right?
What happened, guys?
It's just the magic that is Mutants Masterminds.
It really is, yeah. I mean, it really is magical, and it's over like that too soon. And yet it feels like it took a month. Friendly Neighborhood Chicken asks one more question, and that is, can you use animate object in power profiles or summon limited to existing objects to animate creates, or is that creatures probably, that would be much bigger than typical creatures? Yeah.
I'm not clear on what animate creates is.
Creatures.
Creatures?
Yeah.
Potentially. Again, so much of it is dependent on the way the power is defined, and what the descriptors are and what it's intended to represent. As far as that goes, whether or not animate object even affects things created by the create power depends on what those things are. And the descriptors of that power. And
yeah. I bet the GM might have a thought or two.
It's one of those cases where that's just got to be the GM's judgment in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Can Sargon use the Ruby of Life to animate one of Green Lantern's constructs and take control of it? I don't know. I don't know if he's ever done it in the comics, but
sounds like it'd be cool though.
Right. But my tendency as a GM would be like, that sounds like a opposed will test of some kind.
Right.
And we'll go from there.
Oh no, you are the GM, Friendly Neighborhood Chicken.
We like the way you think, Chicken.
I it's GM discretion as most things, but
right. It really
in my mind, if something is cool, that's what I want to try to do.
Yeah.
And most of the time, superheroes are going to find a way to get around things, so it's not really about trying to be a broken build or anything like that. I mean,
yeah,
there's
it's all about legislating fun, right?
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so in the
that's like a cool team attack.
Yeah.
Like if you have a character who creates and a character who animates, I think that could be an interesting.
That could be kind of fun.
Yeah, but then they're dedicating both of their standard actions to making this happen. So there is sort of there's a payoff there too that you have to think about.
Stan, the real magic is the friends we made in 60 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Give or take. Speaking of 60 minutes, we're almost done. We've got just a few minutes left. What is going on in the Steve Kenson cinematic universe?
Well, apparently I'm guesting on Thursday.
Hey! Oh, yes. Yeah, you're available. Great. Thanks for signing up.
So that's exciting.
It is.
And folks can come and check out me posting effect builds over on the Atomic Think Tank, where I'm playing around with some variants and some just ideas about some different things, and welcome people's thoughts and feedback and questions and the like as far as that goes. RC, thank you for posting my Patreon, where I'm doing Icons superpowered role-playing stuff. If you like superhero games and can't get enough, that's pretty much the biggies.
Yeah, and for the Atomic Think Tank, I want to do a quick shout out to Frog Taco.
Yes, our own Evan Sass.
Oh no, just the frog taco. It's so delicious, and it's really
who doesn't love a good frog taco,
right? No, yeah, Evan Sass, Sassy Ronin, hooked us up so that now when you go to the atomicthinktank.com, you go to the Atomic Think Tank, which is very exciting.
As it
should be.
Yeah,
such
absolutely.
is the power of Evan.
Yeah. Evan makes it right. So many thanks to Evan.
He's our guy in the chair.
That's right. He is the webmaster. But all right, awesome. That's great. And thank you, RC, again for dropping those links so you know where to find Steve. Alex, what's cooking with you?
Well, I have a stream on Wednesday night where I will be leading our heroes continually through the multiverse of the Master Mage.
Ooh.
That'll be 7 p.m. over the Untold Stories Project, twitch.tv/Untold Stories Project, or on YouTube. I'm also working on finishing up my work on Chrono Crisis and diving into more Worlds of Valiant stuff. And to answer the Elvis question from That's a Wrap Studios, not combat related, but how would Elvis work as a hero? I have a build for Elvis based on him having the powers of Shazam, because Elvis's jumpsuits are inspired by his love for Captain Marvel Jr., specifically Captain Marvel Jr., not Captain Marvel. And I had a lot of fun with that. I ran a whole Legends of Tomorrow adventure where he gets the powers of Shazam and winds up in a time displaced at an Elvis impersonator competition trying to fight off brain caterpillars from space.
Brain caterpillars from space, even.
Yes.
Yeah, I got to say the line "Elton John is too high to worry about brain caterpillars." The last time I ran it, so
like a kite. Yes.
That alone makes it worth the price of admission.
Right. I'll be running that at Origins. So if you want to come play, it's great.
I would love a sort of rock opera superhero, sort of like Kiss-like, or just all of the big sort of glam rocker types.
As a massive Meatloaf fan, I'm here for it.
That is something to think about. I'm just seeing Elton, some big sort of tall platform shoes.
Jim Simon didn't write that.
Yeah. I think this is good stuff. I like it. Johnny Cash would be so great as Dolly Parton in there. Get a little Captain and Tennille. Wait, this is like a yacht rock thing. Maybe we'll have to we'll have to workshop this.
Steely Dan's actually made of steel.
I love that. Fleetwood Mac. Like, what is a Fleetwood Mac?
Fleetwood Mac would be a bunch of witches in this story.
You're right.
It's basically a coven of witches.
100%. Absolutely. I love that.
That is the challenge for Multiverse May. Everybody write up your favorite musician as a superhero.
Yes.
There you go.
That is so good. Buddy Holly Laser Eyes. Yeah, I mean, this is great. We need to see everybody. Little Richard's got to be in there for sure.
The big bopper with loud sonic powers.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited to see what happens with Dolly Parton. She just, she's just a paragon of good. And it's good stuff. All right. Very, very fun. Gentlemen, we got to get off this ride, because if we keep going, we'll just keep going. We can go another hour and
right into the next week. And
exactly.
But Steve and Troy, we have so many villains. So many heroes. So many heroes should all come back to fight the AI that is trying to make all of their ghosts sing songs they're not supposed to sing.
Yes.
That's right, Stan. We're caught in a trap.
I love that.
We can't walk out.
Look out in a trap.
Because
hey,
I
friends,
love you too much, baby.
Listen, you two, thank you very much for hanging out. Always just a blast, a true joy. And I always leave here with just more energy than I had when I arrived, which I hope you did as well, Alex, even though you took your sleeping pill instead of your, you seemed very cogent and awake. This is either a great dream or you're actually really awake. So it all works out.
I'll find out tomorrow, I guess, when I check my Slack notifications.
I had the weirdest dream last night. Yeah.
Alex, where were you?
Hey, super kudos to chat. Thank you so much for engaging and being a part of this. Great ideas. We do this for you, with you, and it's just always a blast. Make sure you stop by the think tank, get in there and think it up, tank it up. And with that, I say goodbye, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. Join us Thursday for Thursday and, the big think tank release party. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Take care, everybody.
See y'all.
Miss you, kiss you.